These past High Holy Days, as I was stepping out onto the bima, about to lead you all in prayer alongside so many wonderful clergy people, I felt nervous, as usual, but I also felt a pride and self-assuredness that were entirely new. Those were the first High Holy Days where I wore a suit and tie. That's what you could see on the outside, but on the inside, those were the first High Holy Days where I showed up as entirely myself. The High Holy Days are the time of year where we're encouraged to look deep within ourselves, to find the truth of who we are and who we want to become. But it's not every year that we actually get to do this deep introspection. This past year, I was given the opportunity to take a deep look within myself, to find my truth, and to share it with all of you. Wearing my gender on the outside allowed me to connect with my deepest spiritual self in prayer. Being my true self enabled me to move past just focusing on what I was singing and allowed me to truly pray. Having the experience of leading prayer with authenticity helped me to see the kind of leader I hope to be. But this opportunity to be myself on the High Holy Days didn't come from nothing. I came out to Cantor Shapiro in one of our first email exchanges. At the end of a long email, I added a short note. By the way, I wrote, I wanted to let you know I'm non-binary and I use they, them pronouns. I was nervous writing those words because I had no idea how she would react. In my work with previous congregations, people thanked me for telling them, but then continued to misgender me in every interaction. I wasn't sure how Cantor Shapiro would respond, if she would be different. Rather than replying over email, Cantor Shapiro called me. She thanked me for telling her, but unlike the others, she didn't stop there. She went on to say that she had already read some articles to make sure that she was educated, but she also wanted my input on how best to educate the congregation before my arrival. Hearing these words of affirmation and support, I began tearing up on the phone. No one had ever gone to such lengths to make sure the community I entered was ready to receive me as myself. No one had ever gone to such lengths to make sure I would be comfortable and safe. She acknowledged that she still had learning to do to be the best mentor for me, and she acknowledged that the congregation also had some learning to do to be a truly inclusive community. Right before the High Holy Days, after our last rehearsal, Cantor Shapiro and I were sitting in her office. I told her about my decision to wear a suit and tie for High Holy Days for the first time. I told her that in the past, I had stood on the bima trying to fill a role, trying to be the best version of what I thought a cantor was, trying to make my voice sound like cantors that I admired, dress like cantors I had seen, and cultivate the presence of a clergy person that I thought was expected of me. But I always felt like I was putting on an act, that I couldn't really be myself in that role. Cantor Shapiro responded, "You don't need to be anything other than who you are. that is enough. That became my intention for the High Holy Days, showing up as myself. I came as I was, and I saw that authenticity is the truly best way I can serve my congregation as a prayer leader. I've since found that this is true in all facets of life. Deep authenticity is more meaningful than trying to fill a role like others have before. And it's not just about the prayer leaders. Creating inclusive community at its core is about creating a place where each person knows being their authentic self is enough. But creating community like this means work. As of now, there are no out trans cantors. Hebrew Union College, the Reformed seminary I attend, has only ordained 2 trans rabbis. But now, there are many students who are trans, and our numbers are growing. University Synagogue hadn't had a trans clergy person or intern before me, which meant that my gender was new and unexpected for a lot of people. But this community has learned and has grown to be more inclusive and knowledgeable in just the 1 year that I've been here. One of the things that I love most about University Synagogue is that this community doesn't shy away from asking tough questions. People in this community aren't afraid of grappling with something that challenges the way they have always seen the world. This is what it means to ally. Not to be an ally, but to ally with people more marginalized than us who experience the world differently than we do. In our lives, each one of us will be confronted with the choice to ally with others. Within the LGBTQ community, there are people I am more marginalized than. But there are also people who are more marginalized than me. I ally with trans feminine people of color who experience violence and discrimination in ways far greater than I ever will as a white transmasculine person. I try to find and challenge the harmful biases in my own thinking. I try to be aware of the ways my communities aren't safe spaces for trans feminine people of color, and I make an effort to speak up and create change. It's been such a joy for me to be a part of this community at University Synagogue this past year. My time at Unison has come to an end, but I hope this momentum for inclusivity can continue. You have allied yourselves with me. You've allowed me to live my truth in community with you. For that, I am so grateful. I hope you will continue to ally with those who, like me, hadn't before felt like they're allowed to show up as themselves. When you introduce yourself to a new person, I hope you'll share your name and your pronouns, allowing the other person to do the same and showing them that this is a safe community for people whose gender may not be what you'd expect. I hope you are so outspoken in your support that if someone you've known for a long time comes to find a new truth about themselves, they will know that you are a safe person to share their truth with, that you'll ally with them. And I hope that this expanding understanding of gender doesn't just apply to trans people. I hope, whether you're trans or not, you'll have the courage and support to take a deep look at the ways you yourself are expected to perform your gender, and to question if those things are standing in the way of your fulfillment and happiness. May we all give each other permission to be our most authentic selves. May each of us know the joy of being held, supported, lifted up by our communities. And may we always know that we are at our best when we show up as ourselves.